All targets declared hostile. Happy hunting, Crimson.
So that's part of the reason why I often don't fight back against a lot of these people and brigades, is because I know I'm just going to
We've given up the lead.
background noise.
Whoa,
And those
put me
people
in a gun?
a shelf life. Yeah, a shelf life.
That wasn't fair. What the fuck was the rest?
The lead is on.
Hostile eliminated.
Showered with
You're falling behind, Crimson.
More like 7. That's pretty clever.
look yourself in the mirror.
Taking the lead. Stay on target.
Nice.
I think
That's still mean.
was it? I mean, I think it's. I guess it's pretty
Move her.
Sometimes it needs to be said. All right.
You almost got him. Good.
Yeah, what was the
Later, shithead.
I mean, I'll keep it going
You almost got him.
tomorrow as well. I'm not the whole thing. I don't think I'll be able to finish the whole thing. There's still 42 minutes left on it. But shouts out to Stand Up to Cancer.
Hostiles reclaim the lead.
you, Chad?
I know I do a lot of stuff, but that's right. You almost got him. So glad I don't have to run into it.
Hostile in my sights.
Tony's like all classy and rich now.
All right,
Tony grew up as a
let's call
peace
this
corps.
duty.
Yeah.
An actual classy. I just like espresso.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
This is yardless
Come on,
behavior,
that's
but
pretty clever.
We're winning.
All right,
Keep it that way.
let's call this duty.
Move, move! Keeping the whole for 20 years. What's that? So 8 months ago, it's show that I was since, you know, what happened. And on top of that, he was also
put me
doing
in a
multiple shows at
gun.
Madison Square Garden.
There's the content deputy. We'll take a look at that right now, okay? I got P.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Content Deputy. Now, normally in a
Watch it.
this video isn't going to have any of that fanfare. We're just going to get
All right,
straight into it.
let's call this duty.
Targeted hostile
Straight
assault pack.
into it. I was hoping that if I made a video,
Sniper, find cover!
you would act like you would go. Unfortunately, I was wrong in thinking. In a desperate attempt to charity event. I don't know what the last $50,000.
You have to give money.
Whoa, put me in a
I'm
gun.
aware that we raised $1.3 million for charity the first year of Creator Clash. The second year we operated at a loss, and I take full responsibility for that.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just
Creator Clash. Reposting random trolls
All right,
that are very easy
let's
to
call
vet.
this
If you
duty.
click on this profile, it has a bunch of Sam hide adjacent posts. Come on, dude, you're one step.
Falling behind, Crimson.
Highlighting this post that equates Crater Clash to a crypto rug pull. He's saying the event is going to be worse than TanaCon. Can't wait for them to blame us for their failed event. Don't worry, Elon. I'm not going to blame you guys for anything
Given up the lead.
This recent revelation that people
put me
are
in
just
a
going
gun.
to use Crater Clash to attack me. Anissa and I have decided to step away from Crater
We've
Clash.
claimed the advantage. Now hold it.
Enemy spring mine!
They know exactly what they're doing. They run it.
Bud, you're doing your
The
best.
event is still happening. Anissa and I just don't
That's
have
it.
any financial ties. We don't have any ownership. We are, I think just going to be known as the founders
On the
of
move.
the event. Yeah, I mean, I think it had to come to this eventually. I
Taking fire!
keep my mouth shut. I can't. I mean, I can. I just didn't want to. I want to be frank. I want to be honest. I was very quiet during the second Creator Clash of how that would impact other people. This year, I said I'm going to fight back if someone's trying to attack me. So that's what I did. And now I've realized, like, I can't really have my cake and eat it too. It's either like a foul beast on the internet, or you're
Hey,
gonna
don't
have a
worry,
charity
bud.
event.
You're doing your best.
Creator Clash. It's still happening, June 28th. Please, for this event, I feel like in some ways I'm that.
All right,
I'm cutting off
let's
the
call
arm
it.
so that I could escape the bear trap, and so I can
Enemy spring mine!
fight. Well, that's a bad analogy. We've already told all the fighters, and it seems like most people understand that this is the best move. If the previous content cop was entertaining to you, or this video is entertaining, or you like the message, the best thing that you can do for me is to support Creator Clash. Buy a ticket, buy a pay-per-view ticket, an in-person ticket, or donate to the fundraiser. I just want to see this event do well. I thought I was going to be a good boxer. I didn't think I would be an awesome event organizer. And now I'm finally back to where I started, which is making content cop videos. I don't want to make this too ham-fisted, but I kind of do want to make it ham-fisted. I spent my last 4 years working on this stupid boxing I mean, it was working absolutely. It's crazy that I just returned to content now. Having said all that, Creator Clash ticket link down in the description. Go check it out, buy tickets, support the charity, support the fighters, and have a good-ass time. I mean, ultimately, I think it's a good thing because I think I am meant to roll around and I think me and Ethan are both all day long, and other people are meant to do boxing, raiding, or whatever else. Ethan and me, pig rolling around.
I've got culture strength, the will of Allah. I'm in Yahweh. Yahweh.
I think the worst criticisms I labeled at Ethan is that he's a bad boss, a tyrant of a boss. I just implied that.
Learn your fucking lesson yet? Headshot!
That was like before Ethan even knew what my video was about, he was already framing me as anti-Semitic.
Time short. Put your head down and secure the target.
You're that Zionist baby killer, guys, right? I'm one of you. Hate Jews too, guys. Let's get after it. Israelis have no right to defend themselves, actually. All Israelis are
that's pretty
settlers,
clever.
actually. What is he going to give me a history lesson now? Is he a historian? He's discovered empathy, but only extends to the point where you're actually talking about Jewish people or Israelis. Then empathy stops and they should all be murdered.
Target deleted.
He's running to the
Put me
closest
in a gun.
kindergarten to blow it up. There's a Jew. I heard there's a Jewish.
That's not what Timothy McVeigh did.
They want all you guys to quit and for me to just be like alone, little Jew.
Ethan, under a year.
Like this doesn't make sense if your position is that like Israel's committing a genocide. Like I need a lot of you to reflect on
All right,
what we are
let's
looking at
call
from the
this duty.
perspective of
They were already dead. Just hadn't realized. Good
Oh,
job.
hell yeah!
presented
That's how it's
himself
done.
as yesterday, and one that recognizes that Israel is committing a genocide.
Hey, don't worry,
If you
bud.
are
You're doing
considering-
your part.
You believe one or the
Two
other.
kills.
And I'm inclined to believe that the side that he's heavily leaned on is the side. He believes that there's a genocide was specifically because he wanted to. He doesn't have any real positions in this beyond focus on. I'm going to try to make sure you look hypocritical, which I don't even think it. I mean, it didn't really work. It didn't look inconsistent. Yeah, he says it's a genocide to diffuse your points. Exactly, which is so crazy. Grow up, bruh, sad. Are you telling me this, or the 40-year-old man using the backdrop of endless amounts of violence that he claims to acknowledge as a way, as a mechanism to
As
drive
stoked
home
as
his
I
petty
am,
agenda,
let's see what you want.
and claim that like his former podcast co-host is being, and all of his former friends are being incredibly anti-Semitic because they're critical of his behavior in this time, and not the Nazis
Everything
that have
might be
found
like
a
living in
comfortable
a video
home
game.
inside of the newfound H3H3 community.
Ago was saying he doesn't use anti-Semitism in that way. He's not a guy to call anything and everything anti-Semitic.
You know, in my whole life, I've never screamed foul on anti-Semitism. I literally have been getting this since the second I stepped foot on the internet, and I have never, ever done this, okay? So the people online, they're saying, oh, Ethan's making himself a victim, or Ethan's making everything about anti-Semitism. I've done this once in my life right now. But he's like, no, actually, Ethan, the Jew bag, this Jew bag Zionist baby killer, guys, right?
I don't know if that's what the video is.
I mean, I get that he's scared and offended, but this was the whole point of my video, Ethan. I was saying that you shouldn't be doing this. It led to me making this video in the first place. You were triggered by this CPS harassment thing, and then you immediately equated Anissa and I to it. That was sloppy, and that was horrendous, and it was horrendous for us. And now you're doing it again.
I'm gonna watch it live.
Should you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. But like, why?
I just don't think, I feel like you're going to get really emotional and say something you regret.
Well, I've got the button.
Like, I know you don't have a problem taking it head on, but I just feel
Of course not, because I know that
you're
whatever-
understandably upset, and I feel
like it might be a little.
Should we wait to talk about it, or you want to talk about it?
You should do it off stream. Because I don't know, this escalated initially because we were live and you guys were heated about, I forget what it was.
I just think it might be wise to watch it, think out your thoughts, and respond in a calm way. Because there's no chance that you don't get heated.
I don't need to pre-watch this. I don't need someone else to hold my hand through it. Like, I'm ready to take on anything that these people have to say about me. He's like, no, actually, Ethan, the Jew bag, this Jew bag Zionist baby killer, guys. I'm one of you. I hate Jews too, guys.
You attacked us, so I attacked back, and now you're acting surprised and shocked, and you're doing it all on your podcast live. So naturally, you reacting live is you having an emotional reaction and seeing things that honestly are scary.
I just said I vented about them not defending me. What the is he like? He's actually losing his and like I just can't believe it, dude. People have to say about me. He's like, no, actually, Ethan, the is he like?
And seeing things that honestly are scary.
I just said I vented about them not defending me. What the is he like? He's actually losing his and like I just can't believe it, dude.
Should call him up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree. Fair weather friends who are so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ian sucks for the same reason right now. He could say something
Spineless. Our POV is like, fuck everybody, and I don't want to hear any excuses. You're not my friend, and you never were, and you never will be. You never will be.
What's very insane about this content cop is I was thinking about Ethan's feelings so much in that video. I thought about the idea of like how I shouldn't be saying the term Zionist or Zionism in that video, because I was like, he has explained before that that's personally insulting to him and he doesn't like that. You know, regardless of how true it is, I was like, I'm going to think about Ethan's feelings and not mention this. Fast forward to him reacting to my video, he's just outright calling me a fucking Nazi.
Is it a coincidence that Ian really shaved his head just before doing this video and he's holding a swastika one? I mean, we can free Palestine without being a Nazi. You fucking Nazis. How about that? Well, this is the white savior, Ian.
This is the twofold problem here, because like from the onlooker's perspective, when Ethan is like making these claims and like using them against me for some fucking reason, there's a twofold issue. One, I think the claims are ridiculous, and two, I wasn't even there to fucking begin with. So when I talk about the fact that like I don't know what the decision making process was there, okay, I'm not saying that to like hide my fears, like hide my shame that I participated in this, and that's the way he tried to present it. Right?
Team deathmatch. Playtime's over. Let's see what you're made of. Move up. Long guns free. All right. Let's call this duty.
Redditors claim you paid for this video you're watching. Well, oh God, I don't know why. I mean, yeah, they're Redditors, man. That's it.
Unless you're of course.
Ethan, people are allowed to shave their head and not be called. To be called anti-Semitic is. I don't want to talk about Hassan's sword hilt because Ethan himself basically admitted multiple times he doesn't think any of us did that intentionally, and he would be right.
Do I think anyone?
Watchdog helo incoming on your location.
Chances that they is close to zero, right? So I'm not accusing them.
I picked up.
This is so consistent with the way for the past.
Can we take a break? When do we get orange slices?
also said he didn't actually think it was a swastika. Yeah, his position is untenable. Yeah, look, this is the other point that I'm making, which I think is important to address here.
More like Seth Rogen.
These are they are willing to learn.
Enemy UAV inbound. You're planning on giving up. If not, get to work. Counter UAV established above. Hostile UAV established overhead.
History.
Whoa, put me in a gun. I don't believe in bad luck, just bad aim. Get to extra.
What's really silly about it is that like his audience does actually watch all of his slop, so they should know better.
Got their mark. Let's go.
Like someone in a foot soldier goes, wait a minute.
Enemy drone. Target ID.
Stories about quite a bit about Hassan. I mean, it was funny because it was shocking even to him. Like, that was what was hilarious about it. It was literally shocking to him that should be a wake-up call. That should be a moment where he understood the depths of manic behavior. Like, think about that. Yeah, he couldn't. I think you're missing the point that he was trying to do. His entire purpose of the debate was to smear your image, regardless of how far he was reaching. He tried to get the public to label you an anti-Semite. He didn't have a counter argument for anything he defended. Yeah, I don't think the public thinks I'm anti-Semitic. I don't think the neo-Nazis that are now celebrating Ethan think I'm anti-Semitic, because if they did, they would love me. Okay, so obviously, yeah, do with that information what you will, right? You can't just keep saying someone is anti-Semitic without like actual real points of contention. And especially because, look, especially considering how seriously I take anti-Semitism in general and how much I talk about dog whistles, or even, as he made a joke about, microaggressions even, okay, which I did see a TikTok commenting saying, I literally see him post stories every day about Hassan. Yeah, that, like, I think he was just like saying it was anti-Semitic because people were just criticizing him, and I tried to drive home that point.
Up a random sword in Hassan's room that was laying around. That could be the end of the discussion. You don't actually need to debate Hassan about the sword hilt.
He left it up.
Decision making.
If it was a mistake, he could have deleted it.
But I'm not going to delete the photo because that would be indulging in your weird anti-Semitic fantasies.
We can free Palestine without being a Nazi. You Nazis, how about that?
I'm done being nice to Ethan. I gave it a chance. My sincerity and my empathy in that last video was real. I was even equating to him having crash out moments in the same way that denims could have crash out moments. I think we're all capable of it, but he was using it in the video to suggest that I was making fun of his mental health.
Shouldn't we just assume his point is you're doing anti-Semitic things and debunk why your action and points aren't that, instead of point blank just saying we aren't anti-Semitic? Okay. You just mentioned that, right? Which I did. I tried to also autistically like explain to him that this is frivolous because it's, you know, you're reading too much into it and you think that there's a dog whistle there when there isn't one. And what did he do? He said, "Nope, you're anti-Semitic. I'm convinced." Okay, I guess it's over at that point, right? Or whenever I debunked something that he mentioned, he would recognize it and then go, "This is too boring. Let's move on. Don't you want to make content?" Like, no, I don't. I don't want to make content out of this.
To my good friend Ian of 8 years, I really appreciate you weaponizing my mental health against me.
To make Ethan crash out. He's having a parasocial, weird crash out. People can have crash out moments. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help. Dude, I'm not making fun of your mental health. Every example you used was me basically saying that other people are trying to affect you. It's
Oh, yeah, I'm the Redditor that got a letter from his lawyer. He also lied about the clip being paywalled content. I posted proof on my Twitter. Yeah, I mean, he lied about virtually everything. You missed a point on Hezbollah being farmed K series as a fact-running defense for ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Assad regime. No, I didn't miss that point. You say Hezbollah committed
More like Seth
500,000
Rogen.
deaths
Tactical
in
incoming!
front of
Hell yes! Oh my god!
for all of the deaths that ISIS. I did say that. See, so here's the problem, though. It was a 5-hour-long conversation.
Nice! We're pulling ahead! Style eliminated!
Didn't hear me.
Tossing in! Incoming lethal! Whoa, put me in a gun!
There's a lot of, like, semantic differences.
Come on, you're losing this fight!
In order to draw out some kind of inconsistency. Proof of the lie directly from his lawyer.
Let's call this duty. You almost got him! Good!
Timestamp of the work. The infringing clip is a separate copy of the work and is not an embed of the original. The clip appears to reside on Reddit servers. My client is not authorized.
Taking control!
So it wasn't even a paywalled content? Is that what it is? Ethan and Dan confirmed that posting the snark will get you banned. The infringing post.
This shit ain't working! We've lost the advantage! Come on!
It's a frivolous lawsuit.
You doing your best? He's done!
Financial opportunity.
Tossing him back!
A much wealthier
Let's
person
call this duty.
who has the
Enemy field upgrade! Not good! That was hard work.
What? Out that I need help.
You've fallen behind! Tactical incoming! Hostile eliminated! That was you reloading. Using lethal.
We all need help. Everyone on this planet needs help. I don't care how you get it.
Push through!
That would because right now you're getting much help.
Put me in a gun!
Is that I didn't mention the CPS call.
So there's really just one central point that I want to make here. My good friend Ian and his Child Protective Services. Not one time.
All right,
Not even one
let's call this duty.
And a lot of the clips he uses is off.
Except it turns out the CPS stuff he also admitted in our conversation. Even if it was snark, I don't even understand how that would tie back to me. But let's say it just doesn't make any sense. Like these are not.
All right. Oh, I see you. We got the lead. Now hold it.
Like random anonymous
Did I
Redditors.
say that?
On the move.
Did I claim they did?
Watch it. Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
It doesn't make sense. Like, how can people look at this and go, man, he really presented himself as an honest broker here. He kept his composure throughout this process. Like, okay, well, he just over and over again.
More like Seth Rogen. Come on. Clever. Damn it. You lost the
I don't
lead.
even know the details because I don't keep up with whatever the f going on.
All right. Let's call this. Hostile sighted. Where's the sniper? Hostile LDPR drop detected. Heads up. Hostile care package inbound. Next call. Napalm strike inbound.
All right. Let's call this duty.
Yeah, he misspoke.
Enemy Hellstorm launch.
Headshot.
And he quickly said,
Carrying you around.
how is that?
Back off. And a UAV in the air.
Going on. Enemy field upgrade. Not good. Oh my God. This game is intense. Hey, incoming lethal!
Know where he lives. I mean, it's,
Put me in.
Enemy UAV inbound.
oh, this is the one, yeah. Why have they not led to
All right.
any
Let's call this.
Moron, what do you mean?
first-hand testimony in this regard?
Spotted enemy streamline. Body drop.
I killed them?
More like Seth Rowe gun. God, that's pretty clever.
Regard.
You gonna let a bunch of toughy assholes beat you? Fight back, damn it! You fucking me? Activate catchback protocols. Get your asses back to base.
If you don't understand that the main point of contention here is that he immediately went to gaslight me and caused me to believe. But instead to go, no, I didn't. You're stupid. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crashing out? Like, come on, dude. Like, that shows me being charitable to him, even in that moment where he's like smearing me with the worst smears possible. Come on.
So like
Without,
for a lot of
without even explaining that at least that's the context, it's pretty cowardly.
I wonder why I wouldn't mention the CPS call. Could it be that the CPS call happened the same day that you were shit-talking me? And I didn't have any chance to defend myself. You just immediately, in the same podcast, right next to each other, said, CPS call was very traumatic. And then you said, Ian and Anissa. And you linked those together, you kind of layered those flavors, and then Anissa and I got a bunch of harassment. We had nothing to do with the CPS call. What are all these comments on your Reddit saying, like, it happened because of the CPS call? I don't entirely blame.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, there's a lot of, you know how like there's the double Nakba situation that Ethan engaged in defense of the inception of the state of Israel, saying that Arab anti-Semitism caused Jews to become Zionist. A horrifying thing to say, especially when you're talking about the planned expulsion of Palestinians in comparison to other countries that are not related, right? Other Arab nations that you can only attribute to the same kind of sentiment if you are an anti-Arab racist. There is a lot of there's a lot of this going on here as well. There's like, oh, you did the CPS call actually. Like, it turns into we don't know who called CPS to actually Hassan and iDubbbz called CPS. In the minds of his audience, they literally go around being like, well, your audience called CPS. That's why he's actually frazzled. And it's crazy to just like attribute this kind of shit. Like, if Ethan, God forbid, got into a car accident tomorrow and came out and said, I got into a car crash because I hit I got into a car crash with a narker without any evidence whatsoever, and then attributed that to me, everyone would say I did the car crash. What are we doing? Like, things are happening completely beyond my control that I don't even know about, that I'm oblivious to, that I'm not interested in covering even in any way, shape, or form. And he basically just will use any and everything that has happened in his life that I also think are unconscionable and totally inconsiderate from the parties that actually engaged in that tried to cause harm to him directly is somehow my fault, when I'm the one Oddly enough, Asmongold seems to believe the CPS call came from him. Yeah, of course they believe that.
Your audience for getting confused because number one, it's a fault, and number two, you can't even get the timeline straight. So if anyone's watching your dumbass, their brain is also going to get scrambled.
Be friends as long as they're getting something out of it. So again, he's not showing the context. What was the okay, I'll play this part. Did you guys ever find the context of what I was talking about?
Struggling to recall the context of him shit talking our intentions as friends.
Because I feel like I wasn't even talking about him. I could be wrong. I just don't remember ever saying like. If I did say that,
I thought you were talking about them, about Anissa and Ian in that clip.
That's the same clip of
It's all the
when
part of the
CPS
same
was
clip.
called.
Yeah.
Same clip.
It's part of the same conversation.
You completely wiped your brain of what happened during the CPS stream. That's not my fault. That's no one else's fault but yours.
All I wanted for you to do was say the bare minimum of like, hey, this is not true about CPS, whatever, like the bare minimum. It came up because they were talking about it on their podcast. By the way, they're the ones that like started this conversation by talking about it on the podcast. Be like, hey, I'm not getting involved.
Yeah, look, extreme timeline confusion. We expressed sympathy for Ethan and Hila on our podcast 4 days after he attacked us.
That was their response after you guys initially called him out.
This is what I was talking about. You cannot.
Like that's also a huge issue is Ethan can't protest himself. I know, but why is his audience treating him like he can? Why is his audience treating this as it's deliberate or as though like this is actually what took place? This is my question. This doesn't make any sense. He goes back and forth on all of his positions. It is incredibly inconsistent. Even if we're going to attribute it to his memory loss or something, I find that very strange that other people are taking them seriously and other people are going around and constantly complaining about it. H3 claimed the 110 Insta posts in January is fake. No, I already showed the data dump. Okay, I already showed it on my channel. And then immediately they were like, well, the person who shared this is like, who is this person? Let's go dox them. Like, they have one speed. They literally always are just like, let's dox the person. Let's dox the person. Anyone and everyone. We've just basically forgotten the fact that it was so ridiculous that Ethan himself couldn't believe it. His own depravity. Understand that Ethan himself could not in that moment believe his own mania, so much so that he turned around and said, what, since 2023? 110 Instagram stories since 2023? Nope, since 2025.
Have something terrible happen, be like, yes, let's make some content, and then talk your friends of 8 years.
I'm so fired up, I don't even know what to do with myself, which is why I'm crying. On the other hand, I don't know if that's a good state to be in live.
That's that. Kind of spitting.
And a lot of the clips he uses is us fired up from the day that CPS came to us.
For anyone confused about the timeline, Ethan was talking shit about us on his Instagram before any CPS shit. He was also talking shit about us on his podcast before any CPS visit. On March 7th, CPS visits Ethan and Hila, and that same day, they decide, let's do our podcast, and let's have the topic be the CPS visit and how distraught we are about that. And then right next to that, right after it, you guys talk about me and Anissa. But you don't just talk about us. You shit talk us, and you imply that we're friends with people who are doing this, who are the ones who are harassing you.
Do you have evidence that H3 Snark called CPS on you?
Did I say
like
that?
Random anonymous Redditors?
Did I say that?
Wait, what's the...
I said they're primarily responsible for harassing me.
Who called CPS?
What the fuck? So, I don't know.
To be honest, I'm very proud that I didn't immediately jump to Ethan and Hila's defense because when you...
Is airing CPS call normal at all? No, that's the other side of this. I'm not going to criticize content creators for talking about the deep and personal harm that they withstand as a byproduct of being online content creators. I'm not going to criticize them, to each their own, but under normal circumstances, myself included, by the way, this is something that every content creator deliberately keeps to themselves because it creates copycats, okay? And by that, I don't mean CPS calls. I mean swatting, doxing, stalkers showing up to your house. Things of that nature happen in the background and are often not discussed. There's a reason why even LSF, which is a horrible, awful community online, brigaded to oblivion by literally and completely controlled by a guy who is in Destiny's own community. Even that instrument of mass harassment still doesn't post about swattings. And the reason for why they don't do that is because when you post about swattings or you talk about swattings, that creates an even more dangerous environment for all content creators, because it creates copycats, and there's basically nothing you can do about it in that circumstance. I mean, there are some things you can do about it, but so I'm not, you know, if they want to talk about their own, the people that are attacking them, that it's on them. You know, that's if they choose that this is appropriate to talk about, then that's on them. But I'm telling you why most people, myself included, don't talk about this shit.
Look into the story, it actually looks a lot for Ethan and Hila. And I do mean that literally. There was this H3 stream where Ethan...
Dude, how come you didn't prepare evidence against Ethan's lies? Is such a funny fucking thing to get mad at me over. Because I did, and I did retort. And he just said, no, you're lying. What am I to do in that situation? He's not pulling clips. What am I supposed to do? He's controlling the clips. It's like yelling at me because of the structure that was designed so that he could do a fucking faucet of Gish galloping, Mott Bailey, and fuck endless sequence of lies. There are so many instances where he even openly admitted that he lied, but I guess you didn't pay attention to that at all. You know? I guess you did not pay attention to that part of the conversation where he would be like, yeah, I'm wrong. My bad. Let's move on. I'm bored. This is unwatchable.
Team deathmatch. Engagement windows open. Go, go, go!
Sniper smoke! Move, move!
After that concession, what am I supposed to do?
He was talking about his own health. He was talking about his caca breath, his dog having diarrhea, his dog having giardia.
Olive has giardia. It's a bacterial
child running around putting...
We're winning. Keep it that way.
He's at that age. He has giardia.
The whole family...
Traffic recon above!
Giardia.
Nice!
For real?
This morning I had that.
Yeah, I'm trying
You almost got him!
To get it's just my poop. Viscosity, diarrhea.
He mentioned diarrhea a lot.
Crazy diarrhea is like in the middle of the night. These are
his children getting
giardia.
People are quite weak. And so,
Lining one up.
Anyone, what is this show, man? What is
Clever.
what the fuck? What is the... I'm having a hard time trying to comprehend.
Sniper frame neutral.
I'm like, what? You know, I don't know.
Feel that? They're about to break. Give them a nudge.
But I will say, regardless,
Decoy incoming.
I don't think that there is any validity to CPS calls
Grenading.
by virtue of how many professionals he has hired, how much wealth he has in terms of taking care of his children. There is no world in which they get a CPS call, and they even
Stand down, Crimson. We have what we came for.
Oh, hell yeah! That's how it's done!
under the guidance of the state rather than amongst his family. I don't want you guys to
Flashbang sight! Molotov!
foster care is a child being taken from their parents needs to be incredibly high, like predation, incest, something like that. Okay? It's just crazy.
Who's seeing that content might be concerned enough, including Ethan's own chat, which, by the way, is not a measly number. It's about 26,000 at the time of this stream. So there are 26,000 people listening to Ethan go into great detail over 15 minutes about diarrhea, viscosity of diarrhea, his child having giardia, him and his whole family having giardia. They're calling it the poop house. Now, what Ethan does, instead of taking any responsibility for sharing too much on his live stream, is that he decides to attack specific creators like Denim's and say she was the source of the CPS call because her chat was reacting to Ethan and saying, wow, this is concerning.
Is on her platform right now advocating for our children to be forcibly removed from us by Child Protective Services.
The problem with this CPS thing is that Ethan has proven to be a manipulative piece of shit. So when he calls on me to defend him, what the am I meant to do? I don't trust you, and I'm glad I didn't trust you because in your video defending yourself, you used a video that takes context from like 3 different places and combines them to make it seem like someone is coordinating an attack on you.
Love made a good point. You said, is this every comment? I believe this is a live feed of the chat. This isn't edited.
What about the top
This isn't the first time he's done this, by the way. When we literally were friends and had a podcast together, he was so invested in finding real anti-Semitism in my community at the time that he actually believed a doctored image that he straight ripped from Destiny's community. Destiny photoshopped chats from my community talking about, saying a bunch of like actually anti-Semitic shit, not even slicing, completely photoshopped images. And he brought that forward to me directly the last time we had a conversation, not yesterday. Think about how insane that is. And then instead of going, hey, maybe I should second guess how quick I am on the draw, he basically said, oh, I'm sorry that I got duped by this, but also it doesn't matter because your chat is saying stuff about me being a Zionist or my wife participating in IDF raids or whatever the. The irony, of course, is that very same community that has been actively, unironically, grooming a 40-year-old man used to call him the R word all the time. I don't even think they still like him, really. They just like that he's a weapon that they can wield. They do. There's a ton of logs. There's a ton of YouTube videos of back when we had a podcast together before October 7, where they're just like, Ethan is the dumbest person on the planet, like on him actively. So that's another thing that I will never understand about how excited he is to be a useful idiot for these guys. Like even Nicholas Eat Oreo, that dude called Gila a horse for years. Okay? He called Gila a horse face for years. Keemstar. These are like super right-wing communities, okay? I don't understand how you just go, all right, well, now you're attacking the person that I want to undermine and you're giving me support, so it's okay. Yeah, bro pulled a Ted Cruz is right. He's just on the phone smiling and dialing to get people to campaign for Donald Trump, to get people to go out and vote for Donald Trump. If Donald Trump said, your wife is ugly and also your dad did the JFK assassination or your dad is a Zodiac killer. Yeah, Keemstar can defend Ethan all he wants. I'll always remember when this man was harassing Gila Klein, calling her a horse, and now Ethan wants to accept his support. Yeah, ridiculous. That's the other side of it. Like I'm infinitely more understanding of even people's past service, right? I live in America. It would be antithetical to everything I believe in terms of people's capacity to change. Something that I believe is people's capacity to change no matter what they've done.
Overdrive.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
Ethan Klein is such an R-word. Destiny, is there anyone with a platform the size of Ethan that is consistently as big as an R-word as he? Ethan is a R-word and his entire team too, lol. Ethan is such a R-word. Ethan is a R-word, Omega lol. No Ethan Klein next to him. Azan instantly looks like an R-word again, Omega lol. Ethan R-word decline, lol W.
I am not made for this. I do ceramics.
Bad Empanada and I align on a lot of issues. The way we see the world, okay? We do not agree on we do not agree on tactics. We do not agree on methods.
Maybe. The higher I get, the better I shoot.
These guys are Ethan's ideological enemy if he ostensibly cares about anti-Semitism. That's my point. If he bad faith smears against them, then these people have done a ton more than I ever have. My issue with Ethan was a disagreement with how he carries himself in a conversation revolving around a genocide that he also seemingly admits is happening. Do you not understand that? And if he also cares about
he
clearly does not, but he claims that he cares about anti-Semitism, then he would be shocked that all of these people that his community is hyping that have been anti-Semitic over and over and over again. Bad Empanada is a maniac. Bad Empanada is a maniac that actually does incredible work when it comes to well-sourced YouTube essays. Okay? This has been my consistent position on Bad Empanada over and over and over and over again. What I don't get is how you'll say Empanada is not and then weaponized mania towards Ethan. No! As a matter of fact, I don't do that. You want to know why I don't do that?
Come on, you're losing this fight.
Well, Bad Empanada called AB a house slave. What do you say to that?
Sorry, this is my first time doing warfare.
Killed that guy. What the fuck,
man? If I actually agreed with it, or if I actually agreed with his methods, I'd be like, well, yeah, his constant hammering on of
this shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage.
You know what I mean? I wish that he wouldn't do any of that shit. I wish that he would focus less on drama in general. I wish.
Hey, someone should make a movie about this. We're using lethal.
Do you see what I mean? They were hyping up Bo6 until he turned to white supremacy again. Yeah, Hassan endorses his research on the Jewish diaspora leaving the MENA region, not calling him the raider of Ramallah or playing the game where he like, I Ox and Martyrs a video game, right, on Steam.
All right.
When he's doing that, he's trying to show us the double standard of people being called those people who have actually taken up arms enemies and acts of terrorism.
Killed that guy. What the fuck, man?
Everybody loses their Would I do that? Absolutely not. Okay? Never in a million years would I do that. I think it's a insane thing to do. It's simple. If I were to come out with an insane statement and say like we and probably actually get sent to prison. But if I say let's nuke Tehran or let's nuke the Gaza Strip, I would be elevated into the State Department to a higher position of power. Okay? This is the heart of that double standard. This is why I always say while anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are both
we've taken control
of bigotry, anti-Semitism has institutional power. You can't engage in anti-Semitism. You can't even engage in what people perceive as anti-Semitism, unless it's something as ridiculous as what Ethan is claiming, obviously, like the bleach sword, okay? But like even criticisms of Israel are packaged under
tactical incoming
by the State Department to get people black bagged, okay? But when you say Islamophobic, when you engage in Islamophobia, when you engage in anti-Arab bigotry, it's perfectly fine. Nobody ever bats an eye at that, okay? Destiny, Ethan is an R-word who thinks being friends with people is being their attack dog. Even Hassan thinks Ethan is an R-word. Think about that for 10 seconds. Omega lol.
Right.
I thought these were.
No, it's
selected.
this. I think when you full screen it. No, this is an edit. It's a cutout of the full chat. It's just enlarged.
Yeah.
It's not timed. It's not timed the same way.
But it sounds like based on and you just went
More
with
like
it
Seth
anyway.
Rogen.
Ethan
Good.
Klein uses this
Come
very
on, that's
deceptive
pretty clever.
Push through!
Like that's all of Denham's chat. That's not what
Glad I
it
don't
is.
have to run in
And
here.
then
That's
when he's
all
called
you.
out
You're
on
just
it,
carrying me around.
He hides it. He moves his.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like very, very dangerous.
All right, let's call this duty.
So now people are saying, what the what? That's crazy.
He's just like covered in dog shit.
On the move.
And he has kids, and his kids like.
Why does it have to be anyone? Take some.
I've heard of the war on comedy, but this is ridiculous.
When Denham's herself already made a statement about it and said that she does not condone calling CPS.
And you will not be able to find a clip of
More like
me
Seth
saying,
Rogen.
"Yes, you should do this,"
Come on,
because it doesn't exist.
clever.
I've literally given Ethan Klein credit on multiple times or multiple instances, and I will do it again right now, for not showing
Part of my criticisms of Ethan initially was the openness. I think it's a problem with that openness.
I could probably turn this thing into a bomb.
Myself and how I wanted to relate to the audience is to be open.
It is what it is.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
As possible.
It is not strictly a benefit to be as open as possible on your podcast.
I don't think Ethan particularly cares about
Attack off. Launch a UAV.
Just sharing his thoughts.
Sonny's crawling around.
All right,
Ela has
let's
shared.
call this duty.
Be open as possible about every thing in my life. Yeah. Really? How many siblings do you have? Many, because you're afraid that it will compromise your
On top of Ethan carrying my wife as Angela, he also takes a dig at my tattoos.
Bro, you literally look like a free tattoo pack that you get for 25 cents from a windy thing, bro. Like literally my kids have cooler tattoos from Chuck E. Cheese. Bro looks like he just went to the menu and was like, I'll take that.
This is a weird career pivot for me.
I can show your tattoos in all of their glory, or I can show you your tattoo made it to the top of Awful Face with Great Execution subreddit, which is not a good thing.
Okay, this is kind of fun. It's battle.
Technical standpoint, but particularly the decision-making aspect.
We're like
If you
Seth
want to go tattoo
Rogen.
for tattoo, Ethan, we can
that's
do
pretty
that.
clever.
You want to keep it to other things, we can. I'll give you that option. Ethan also talks about the potential CTE that I might have after boxing.
Yes.
Ethan, your whole system is scrambled.
No, your brain is scrambled from getting punched in the face too many times because you don't understand the situation. Some people are saying the CTE is starting to take effect, I guess. That would be comforting if there was some explanation, at least.
Clock ticking, Black Ops. Close this shit down.
Jumping jacks with my
Someone will die. That would be. Hey, incoming lethal!
Also, why are you talking about CTE at all?
Ow! Are you trying to shoot me? I guess you are.
I think this is Idubbbz returning to form in some fashion, where he's like, if you want to go band for band, like I'll be vicious. I personally don't give a shit about whatever or if they engage in any sort of psychoanalysis over what that spells for, which is of course or something that I saw his fan base
put me in a gun.
make jokes about.
I'm here to answer the call of duty.
Perfect execution. The Pantheon's probably pissing itself right now.
Folks on the politics, Ethan, on the other hand, has brought up your mom, dad, friends, your dog, even your quote-unquote housekeeper, sex life. I know, everything.
We'll be talking about this. Hey, incoming lethal!
Of his content. They've done a lot of weird I never touched on it.
Maybe I should not have smoked before entering heavy combat, but oh well.
Misinfo and trying to smear to the best of his goddamn ability. Not a like he said my glasses are fake. It's frivolous.
Anything, it came up because they were talking about it on their podcast.
As stoked
by the
as
way.
I
They were the
am,
ones that,
let's
started
see what
this
you want.
conversation by talking about it on the podcast and be like, hey, I'm not getting involved.
I think that was their response after you guys initially called them out.
He can't even keep straight who attacked who first. He thinks that our podcast where we're expressing sympathy for him and Eli.
Yeah, I mean, he was so obsessed with like winning the argument in clips in his mind that he went so far as to call his own wife a terrorist. Yes, this is correct. That boy Deadly, you are correct in that assessment. He literally immediately was like, hey, it's a genocide. Let's move on from that. And then whenever I was like, okay, if you believe it's a genocide, then why do you think that it's appropriate for you to constantly cover? Like, what do you think is more urgent? What do you think is more significant? What do you think is more severe? Yeah, like this, tank this, foot soldiers. What the like brigading my goddamn wiki feed, bro. That is nutty.
Was the impetus for him talking about us. I much prefer boxing-induced CTE than harassment-induced CTE. Ethan acts like we're such great friends and that like he shared such intimate moments with me, but it's all he's lying. Like the whole thing is a lie. He's manipulating his audience. We did not have a close relationship.
You guys were buddies for a long time.
He texted me like one time, like, hey, dude.
Confirmed.
And I was like, I don't feel like having this conversation right now. That's it. So he was trying to get me on the I told him.
Damn it, you lost the
conversation right now.
Okay.
Fair, right? I just didn't.
Are you on shrooms? Am I on shrooms?
Okay.
If the Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone
Oh, I see you.
go on forever if you don't want to touch grass?
Alpha, Tango, the battle words.
I feel like
This was not in my contract. Where's my agent? Yeah, watch it.
More like Seth Rogen. What is anti-Semitic?
Let's call this duty.
All of the
Andy shield upgrade. Not good.
Cryptonazis since he made the 100.
Tactical incoming.
overhead.
It wasn't even the
Push through! Tactical incoming! Oh, I see you!
Psychotic. You don't need the defenders.
Okay, was that too?
You guys try talking it out instead of the whole fighting and calling in Score Street.
Enemy UAV inbound.
UAV commencing. UAV MTS, 50%.
In my opinion, he's somewhat.
Hey, incoming lethal!
Thank you for the win. UAV overflight terminated.
Bridge too far.
Look out! I am Seth Rogen,
Enemy UAV inbound. Hostile UAV established.
Sniper! These guns are so heavy.
Backup's not coming. You want to get out of this alive? Better step up.
Tactical incoming! Yeah, watch it! Hey, when do I get to drive? Is that a
They're
thing?
the CIA. You think they were just gonna let you walk all over
I
it?
am way too blazed for this right now.
Well, guess what? We didn't take it that way.
Our
EKIA!
Respond in kind and make a content cop. So
unironically, the most anti-Semitic person involved in all this so far has been Ethan himself. I disagree. I think the most anti-Semitic people involved in this are definitely a lot of the Nazis that love that they can use like a fleshlight, okay? There's definitely more anti-Semitic people. I get what the point you're trying to make, however. The point you're trying to make is that Ethan is dangerous of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, or like his mechanism of using anti-Semitism as a way to attack any kind of, as a way to shield himself from any sort of like valid criticism in terms of his coverage around this thing that he considers to be a genocide as well. That is definitely dangerous, as Sam Cedar also correctly pointed out. Sam Cedar absolutely pointed to this. He was honed in on it, as a matter of fact, when he was trying to get a gotcha out of him.
So yes, that is what the cycle of harassment looks like.
Okay, what does that have to do with me?
I don't know.
How about you Nazis? How about that?
You might think that all of the harassment you're getting has everything to do with your politics and your idea of Israel-Palestine, but a lot of my gripes were centered around you dragging me into your you know, you knew that you were going through a lot, and you were saying, I'm hurting, I'm now going to make them hurt because they're not putting their head on the chopping block. You're a piece of shit. I'm sure there's anti-Semitic people that are attacking you guys, but they're not me. They're not Anissa. It's not Hassan. It's not all of these other creators that you're attacking. You're not the biggest victim on the internet, Ethan. Other people can experience a horrible time. And guess what? They're not getting this other benefit, which is 26,000 viewers, you're getting a lot of money and a lot of content, a lot of things that you care about from these beefs and from this harassment. There are a lot of people that use both have nothing to gain out of it.
Secure the objective.
She's not getting content out of this. You're attacking her in relentless ways and endorsing so much worse harassment than what even you send her way.
Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Drew actually recognized, which he complained about when they recognized.
All right.
He said
Let's call
and
this
posted
duty.
about Frogan
Very
over the
nasty.
past year.
Hard point is secure.
Just killed that guy. What the fuck?
Got one.
Hold on, it's not worse than it.
You almost got him. Good.
Learn your fucking lesson. You get out.
We're like Seth Rowe. Good.
Claim the advantage. Now hold it.
Pretty clever. Got the objective.
Hard point identified.
Wake up calls after wake up calls.
Hard point is active. Hard point locked down.
Fucking lesson yet?
Killed that guy. What the fuck, man?
Childish way possible.
Hostiles have the hard point.
I am actually the biggest victim of all time. Me. Like,
Gray authorizing watchdog helo cam.
always mentioned that regardless of
Hard point is secure.
harassment and maybe even
Target down.
All right. Let's go.
Hard point located. You're dead. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Subject's front.
I mean, this administration is so insane. Who knows where this will go? I'm not saying the thing of like, oh, the admin told me not to leave the country or anything like that. Who knows?
Send it.
In my opinion.
Hard point locked down.
As soon as he immediately jump in his defense, he can put that make that
Here we go.
to imply that
Hard point identified. Gray requesting watchdog helo above. Hard point is active. Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point is secure.
Requested recon above.
Hard point located.
UAV commencing surveillance operation.
Target going on.
Criticize other Jews that are speaking out against this young.
Hard point active. Hard point locked down.
True. Having said
UAV SPL 50%. Check.
Hostiles have captured the hard point.
masquerade as people.
Hostile guard.
Flying altitude. UAV returning to base.
Hard point is secure.
Love. Sir.
Standing more.
They'll almost always reveal
Move, move!
Hardpoint identified.
Will never separate Israel.
Hardpoint is active.
You might be talking to.
We're ahead. Stay alert. Marking people are no fool.
Enemy 3 on! Captain recon above!
UAV in the turret. Have eyes on.
What's wrong with the Talbot? You give directions.
All right, let's call this duty.
UAV fuel check 50%.
Normal Jews.
Sniper smoke! Move, move! Check fire!
Religious text that is guidance is supposed to be.
Subtext!
Mission timeline expired. UAV RTB.
By different parties. That's the whole point. So it's like when it's not. This is Sharia law.
Hardpoint located. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Yeah.
Pack off, get a watchdog helo overhead. Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure.
That's another thing that you.
Nice, got these.
Incoming.
You made it look easy, Crimson.
Yeah, they're going to use the term Jew or Zionist interchangeably, or Israel interchangeably, as I've maintained over and over again.
That's more like it.
In actual
Scout pulse activated. Target removed. Zionism is interchangeable with Judaism. That is false. That is a false conflation. If someone is anti-Israel, and they say, yeah, just the way that the Jews work, I guess, you know, if they do like that, you're most likely talking to someone who is anti-Semitic. Another one I've seen anti-Semites say is Jewish media as opposed to Hebrew media or Israeli media. Jewish media, no, that one is that's not that relevant. If you're talking about Israeli media, that's not like. Ironically enough, Jews do control the media in one place on the planet, and that is Israel. that much is, I mean, that's a meme. But if they're talking about like New York Times or whatever, once again. And they say, "Oh, it's Jewish media," then yeah, they're anti-Semitic. So none of this is exactly helpful. Wait, why? You asked me what would be clear-cut indicators. I'm giving you the greatest mechanism to spell out anti-Semitism coming from someone who claims to be an anti-Zionist is the answer to a very simple question. Is this a byproduct of Judaism, or is Zionism separate from Judaism and Jews? That's it. That's it. Ironically enough, a lot of anti-Semitic people who are pro-Israel will make that conflation as a way to defend Israel. And a lot of anti-Semites who are anti-Israel will make that dangerous conflation to disparage Jews. Asking for a third time, can you expand on the Mossad dog whistles? Oh yeah, that was another good one that I forgot to mention. So Mossad is an espionage, Mossad is Israel's espionage arm, right? And yes, Mossad and the CIA have often collaborated. Mossad and CIA have also butted heads. Jonathan Pollard is a great example of this. Or Israeli Team deathmatch. Neutralize all threats.
Interests or national security is a great example of this. Having said that, a lot of the people who are
the lead is ours.
People who are anti-Semitic but as anti-Zionist,
they've taken the lead.
Always make it seem as though America is actually an infallible Christian nation, but they're simply being
More like Seth Rogen. Good. Come on. Move, move!
Mechanism of espionage that has actually
Get out!
contributed to this? Has Mossad contributed to America's interest in using? Get
revenge.
Up that question again. Allowed to operate on U.S. soil without involvement. That's crazy. You are advocating the responsibility of American imperialism away from the actual country that is
All right,
most responsible.
let's call this duty.
Do you understand? It is Mossad is an extension of the CIA. That's why the life of Caro, for example, will often come across
More like Seth Rowe gun.
But
come on, that's pretty clever.
They listen to what they're saying. It almost comes across as like America as a nation is actually good, okay, and has a lot of good output, but they're simply being manipulated by the Jews by way of Mossad to do some bad things. And while
enemy using trophy.
That America is letting it happen because of this,
We've taken the lead.
Also,
whoa, put me in a gun.
Hostiles have claimed the lead.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Constantly tell you like, no, you don't understand. Let me tell you about. I find it crazy. Somehow get targeted. No. Ethan actually
Let's go!
In our conversation, where I asked him dead on, like, why
now hold it.
Candace Owens, who you and I both agree is anti-Semitic, than someone like myself.
This kickstream is facing himself vandalizing a
We've given up the lead.
And now
we're winning. Keep it that way.
Tonkon No, better known as Crazy Ton, bio on his channel. He's an IRL streamer who travels around the world to explore the wonders of our beautiful planet in his trusty Toyota Prius.
Hostiles reclaim the lead.
Nice! On the move!
Horseshoe Bend. It's an amazing natural formation that took 5 to 6 million years to create. The Colorado River carved it through sandstone for centuries, making it nearly then, which is why it's called that. It's one of the be satisfied with taking
more like Seth Rowe gun.
Maybe if you're a live streamer, just live streaming your experience there. That wasn't enough for Crazy Ton here because he wanted to live stream himself carving cake.
Piece of flat rock. You could sit it on counter and bake it.
Put me in a gun.
No, but we got kick. See, okay. That works.
I guess it's better.
Same waypoint.
He says this will be gone eventually, chat, not permanent.
Yeah, so he carved that into some ancient sandstone. I think it'll take a little bit longer than what he anticipated there for it to be gone. I mean, this whole situation is just one big, like, why are you doing that, dude? He's like,
You're scaring me around.
Here on this channel. But like the punishment he was facing honestly surprised me because I had no idea you can get in that kind of trouble for this kind of thing. So reports in court court documents, they were very accurate by saying he carved a 36
let's
inch
call
long,
this duty.
6 inch tall, and a 1/4 inch deep cells into the rock. And of course, he did all that while broadcasting it to about 30 live streaming.
Hostile UAV
Someone
established
decided to call
overhead.
the park rangers on. Because, you know,
We're
with
like
so many of these
Seth
live streamers, the
Rogen.
viewers want to see them in the
That's
hall.
clever. Let's go!
It seems like the whole .com IRL streaming is live streams themselves, and the viewers are like, all right, let's get this moron in trouble for doing these things live. And then everyone just kind of sits here and is like, all right, let's see how that pans out. And things certainly panned out as a National Park Service ranger then showed up to confront him the next day about the vandalism.
So as a lot of you guys know, I've been traveling a lot with national ranges in my videos. And the big problem I used to have was, once I landed, I didn't have any data. So then I had to try to find some sort of telecom store to then go on a SIM so then I could get data. That was it. And after a long flight, that was a massive solution for traveling. They also have a 24/7 support. Refund if you're not happy with their service.
So if you're traveling this summer, feel free to scan the QR code here and check out Saley to get a great deal on the eSIM and secure your phone abroad like you would here at home. And use code ATOZI for 15% off of that. But without further ado, let's continue. So, continuing the story, when confronted, this was his excuse.
What seems to be the problem first? You defacing landscapes within the National Park Service.
All right, let's call this duty.
Kick.com into the rocks. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That is a federal offense.
I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could do it out there. I saw other people thinking. I was like, oh, okay, I could do it.
Unfortunately, it is a common thing, but it is.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't even know.
Do you have your ID on?
Do you think he's being serious here? Or is he just playing stupid? Like, did he? A few years, and I've been to the Grand Canyon quite a bit. And even if you don't see the signs, they're all over the place saying, "Hey, don't carve in the rock." It's kind of a no-brainer that you don't carve kick.com into rock formations that are millions of years old.
They're walking all over you. Have some goddamn pride.
But let's not do this in our national parks. Into the rock is just incredibly tough. However, unfortunately, that is a problem because the entire area is protected by federal archaeology. Not only that, as I mentioned earlier, the article also states there's signs all around the area explicitly telling travelers not to carve into the sandstone because obviously defacing a natural feature in national parks is an effort to deepen the inscriptions of the rock by going over the area multiple times.
Report to the nearest extraction point. I have to make a call.
Very seriously. For example, in 2020, when 3 men were banned from Yellowstone National Park after being caught cooking chicken objects into the hot springs were all features in the park. So they were also in probation, and they were also strictly banned from the park and fined between $512. And earlier in April, 2 courts were guilty of damaging 140 million-year-old sandstone formation, just in a harsher way than Crazy Town did most recently. This happened in Nevada's Lake Mead National Park, and they were both set to be sentenced on July 8th. The whole point of designating these areas as protected lands is to preserve them in their natural state, so everyone can enjoy these places without human intervention. That's why national parks often operate under a do not harm, do not leave a trace policy, so everyone can enjoy them for generations to come. But defacing national parks is considered a federal crime. Crazy Town could have faced up to a year in prison and $100,000 as fines as a maximum penalty, which is just absolutely wild because that is way more than I ever expected for the punishment to be. However, when he appeared in court on April 25th, he was fined just $350. So, in perspective, that's less than parking in a handicap spot in any large city here in the US.
Haley Welch, aka the Hawk Tour Girl, is the perfect example of how to lose your entire audience as quickly as possible. From openly taking advantage of her fans to lying during a Coffeezilla interview and denying any wrongdoing. It's no surprise that all of Haley's social media stats are in the red and dropping fast. However, that decline seems to only be the beginning of Haley's career downfall.
Thank you to all my true fans and all the people that actually watch my stuff and they keep up with me. We're trying to sort out all the pieces and stuff to like get all this figured out and make everything right. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Everything's gonna be good. We're gonna be good.
Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we'll be uncovering the crumbling career of Haley Welch, how she tried to fool the internet a second time, why her interview with FaZe is doing more harm than good, and her horrible comeback causing her to lose 90% of her fan base. Around 2 months ago, I uploaded this video detailing Haley's journey to online notoriety. However, the long and short of it is that Haley is the type of person who can leverage her meme status to build a notable podcasting platform and then throw it all away for a crypto pump and dump.
Hey y'all, it's Haley, and I just want to say thank you for joining my space, and I also want to thank you for my 15,000 holders. We got snipe botted today, but we didn't sell a single token. This is just the launch, and I want to tell you I'm here to stay. The plan is to give these coins
Kill confirmed.
the ones that buy my merch.
Let 'em have it, Black Ops.
So glad I don't have to run in
here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
Along the way, but I just want to say screw the sniper bots, and I'm not going anywhere.
Following her controversial crypto program, Haley completely disappeared from social media.
You've fallen behind.
Since Haley is ready to test the waters once again. On the 6th of February 2025, a new episode of
We're like Seth Rogen.
released online, and fans
that's pretty
got front
clever.
row seats to Haley blowing everyone but herself for 40 minutes.
I'm too old to be playing these fucking games. So glad I don't have to run in here. All you. You're just carrying me around. Oh, sure. He's the funny man. Real plastic.
For me, why I want to talk about this is because millions of people are going to watch this. Everybody's kind of waiting to hear what you say. Everyone's kind of waiting to see how this plays out. And 99% of these people, just like you, exactly.
Right.
If she just, which isn't necessarily true because of the way it was done, and that's kind of the whole point, right? There's a right way to do this, and it's mostly important that your network and people that you trust. For sure.
Unsurprisingly, the first few moments of the interview were dedicated to silent viewers by making Haley look like the victim, even going as far as the cry.
Thank you to all my.
I don't have to run in here. That's all you.
Trying to sort out all the pieces and stuff, and just figure it out and make everything
Pulling in Scott Street. Operator establishing Scott Street.
It's really important at this point to be totally transparent about everything. In crypto, what makes this bad, what makes it
All right.
So
Let's
I brought
call
two
this
guys that I
duty.
live with. We do this crypto shit at a very high level. I brought Thread Guy, he's the biggest streamer in crypto. Last cycle, we trade at a very high level.
Calling in Scott Street. Operator establishing Scott Street.
This market inside and out. Headshot. Faces are everywhere. We're all docs and we all have
Hostile spring.
Briefly, it's into this career-defining.
5 kills.
Taking millions.
Alright, you guys, I only got one sponsor left because there's some real ones and they've stuck with me since every bit of this started. Game time, and I believe in game time.
Back off. Get a UAV in the air.
Yeah, some of those guys just leave it the first opportunity.
All right.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Gain over fans, Haley would describe her reasons for trading and
idea got brought to me like months ago, and I was kind of, I don't want to do that. I don't know anything about it, and I've never heard the
There's
space
an
is a good
enemy
place to
shooter!
be, so I was like, don't know about it. Which
Calling in
was
Scott
the guy
Street.
that come to us. A friend of, I don't know,
Whoa, put me in a gun.
Apparently he had like a pretty strong network in LA. Kind of used that as itself.
Turn me around.
It's fair to say.
More like Seth Rogen. Come on, that's good work. Just killed that guy. What the fuck, man?
Us, on the other hand, we live in the internet every day. We want to see crypto succeed.
Using lethal. Too old to be playing this fucking game.
Yeah,
watch it!
But we actually did talk to him. We had a conversation.
There's a spy in our ranks. Watch your six.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me around.
But the structure of a business deal with Hollywood tells a different story.
Internet always wants to know is like, do they offer you money up front as part of the tokens? Like, how did that work? Like,
so the deal so the deal that she did was like a brand image like $20,000 up front. They were supposed to pay her $200,000.
Whoa, who put me in a gun?
Participation. Mutually agreed, and what they had agreed on in the tokenomics was there was a participation of the token.
All right, let's call this dude.
Operator establishing score streak. Calling in score streak.
Missile eliminated. More like Seth Rogen. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Contract with Doc Hollywood.
it's kind of always happening, even without really knowing or having view on any of it until post.
Crimson's on their heels. Hit them hard.
Now, but you don't have the opportunity to like.
Operator establishing score streak. Calling in score streak.
Contract with
Calling in score streak. God damn, I love to see the victory. Hotel Sierra.
I'm here to answer the calls of duties. Call of duties? The calls of duty?
controls 80%. I do not know who the dev is. That was
Tactical incoming lead. I bond with the totals is strong.
And apparently.
certain of the structure of the pre-sale. 17, there was a 17% allocation. Most of the pre-sale investors, my understanding is, were Asia, based in Asia.
Okay.
And it was against the clock with a 1-year drip after that.
And how much was raised for that 17%?
2.8 million.
Despite Haley and her team's incompetence, FaZe thought the real issue with the token was that people were calling it a scam and making crypto look bad.
And then obviously we've seen this story a million fucking times, right? So we more or less know what happens. The issue for you is the millions and millions of people who farmed views off this and made stories about this and covered it. Your average fan, the average fucking middle America 16-year-old kid who's a fan of you, just sees crypto scam, which is again another huge part of the conversation that I'm passionate about, where it's just like crypto already has this bad rap, and it's because of things like this, and it's because the onboarding process is flawed, the barrier to entry is flawed. You probably don't even understand half of what's being talked about right now. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a real language barrier, and the point is like, if you have no business in crypto, you probably shouldn't be in.
Even though most of the interview's talking points were focused on sympathizing with Haley's poor introduction to crypto, her co-host thankfully brought up some ways she could help the people who were actually scammed by the token.
But I think if you took all of the money that you made from the deal, whatever, and just like bought back the coin and then locked it up, I feel like that's a very like clear action that you can make, back to the community. And I think that would just like stamp it and the community can run with it. So that's like the idea that we were talking
as far
about.
as narrative goes and a gesture, I mean, you just fucking nailed that, by the way. And that would, you mentioned it earlier, 125,000 plus 100,000, or what did I hear?
Yeah, so
how much total money has been received due to this?
125,000 has
been received. Yeah. Basically what Frank just said in normal people terms is you take every dollar that you made on this and you mark it by this token and you lock it up. You walk away from it. You don't ever see that money. You can never touch it again. And you say, maybe I'm not gonna talk about this every day, whatever, but I'm gonna stand on business. I put my face on this. I'm accepting the responsibility that this happened, and hopefully, everybody is made whole at some point.
When presented with such a clear way to start undoing the havoc they caused, one would imagine Haley's team would gladly take the opportunity, especially after they claimed to have good intentions from the start. Unfortunately, Haley's team had other plans, as they took advantage of the hype around the interview to briefly pump the price of Hawk and sell some of the token. Almost immediately after, FaZe published a tweet completely disavowing the interview, reading, "So in an attempt to hear Haley Welch's side of the crypto scam story, I agreed to do her first podcast back. I had heavy stipulations, including 1. Not allowing markets to be manipulated by leaking this episode's existence before a resolution was found, 2. Her team finding a real solution regarding the money she made,